Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 12-game NBA main slate. Yes, we have 12 games on Wednesday, making for a great one-game showdown slate on Thursday, that being the Pistons and the Orlando Magic. Question for you guys. I asked people on the Patreon last stream, a question for you. How much would I have to pay you to watch that full Pistons Magic game over the NCAA tournament on Thursday? Give me a number. I'm curious. For me, probably at least $400 or $500, right? I mean, I couldn't even imagine that. So let me know in the comment section down below, how much would it take for you to watch that full game on Thursday? But yeah, if you guys are new, this is your first time watching, welcome. My name is DK. I make content for daily fantasy sports, for Prize Picks, and for NBA Top Shot. The sponsor of this video, guys, is Roast Umber, who I need the caffeine. I need the caffeine to stay wired, to get me ready to, tilt DFS all night long. But it is phenomenal coffee. My personal favorite, the Nitro Cold Brew. You can use my discount code DKDFS for 20% off your order. Got some giveaways and stuff planned in the next couple of weeks, so be on the lookout for that, guys. But yeah, Roast Umber, small company in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They're big DFS players as well, so support them. Help, support me. Discount code again is DKDFS, linked down below. Okay, so, and if you want premium content for daily fantasy sports, patreon.com, the packages are linked in the description below as well. But all right, so let's first look back my lineup here from tonight. So 4-game slate, right? So I'm thinking, okay, a lot of these games have blowout risk. There's a lot of games at double-digit spreads. Let me just stack the late game, right? Let me stack the late game. There's no blowout risk. No way. Being played at the Pelicans have been playing well. It's like a 5-point spread. No risk at all. Let me just stack that game. And I'll be good to go. Well, I did get some blowouts, right? The Grizzlies game, blowout. The Nets game, blowout. The Pistons game stays competitive somehow. So I'm looking at the late game like, okay, I'm looking pretty good. As long as this game stays competitive going into the fourth quarter, I'm going to have at least a 3x night, right? It's going to be a great night, even without Kyrie Irving, which we'll get to in a sec. It's going to be a really solid night, 3-4x night. If the game maybe goes to overtime, I could take down for sure. Blowout. No fourth quarter run for Devin Booker. CJ McCollum, 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. Cameron Payne checks in the fourth quarter, checks right back out. It was like a 15-point game with 5 minutes left. I'm watching this game. I'm like, okay, there's, starters got to come back. CJ's in. We're good to go. I see, Willie Green point to the end of the bench. See Jose Alvarado rip off his warm-ups. CJ McCollum right to the bench. Wave the white flag insanely early. Greg Popovich-esque. But Kyrie Irving, in a game they're up by 63. They're up by 63 points in the fourth quarter. Let's play them 8 minutes in the fourth quarter. Give them like the whole blowout run. In a 15-point game, though, in a competitive game, no way. We're waving the white flag. Dust off Alvarado and like the likes of Bismack Biyombo. One position out of the cash tonight. If I just got a couple of minutes from like Devin Booker or CJ McCollum stays out for another minute, I'm cashing. No way, though. No way. They're pulled early. Okay. Kyrie Irving, man. I mean, this is a little bit unreal, right? I mean, when he first came back, I played him so many times at low ownership, right? The whole team to himself, KD and Harden are out. I'm just jamming in a low-owned Kyrie. And every time it's 3 of 20 shooting, it's the team getting absolutely destroyed and him playing 25 minutes, right? So all those times I've played him and he just doesn't do anything. And, tonight, I just... The tilting's back, right? I miss DFS, but wow. I mean, I'm very tilted. I'm very, very tilted. Rest of my lineup, obviously, I just ate the chalk with Tyus Jones and Dylan Brooks. They're both massive, massive chalk. To no surprise there. Dylan Brooks, subpar game, didn't have the best shooting game. You had other pieces. I mean, Memphis just destroyed them, right? Basically everyone else on Memphis besides Brooks absolutely smashed. Again, Booker, CJ, both on pace for big games. Cameron Payne played like 3 second-half minutes. I get an extremely low-owned Payne. Let's just not play him at all. He checked out like midway through the third. He checks back in for 1 minute in the fourth and checks out. Unreal. Payne was on pace for 50+. Barely plays the second half. Let's see. What else was there? I mentioned, so I'm a little bit mad I didn't play him because I mentioned this in the Patreon live stream that, if you think the Magic game was going to blow out, which I was playing for, that you wanted to look to a guy like Mo Wagner who would crush in a blowout, and he smashed. I think he went for 17, 11, and 3. Absolute smash and no ownership. And I'm a little bit mad at myself that I didn't play him because I was playing for the blowout, and I knew if the game blew out that Mo Wagner was going to smash. So that was one where I'm kind of mad at myself I didn't play him over one of these. I could have taken out, one of the Pacers bigs and upgraded somewhere else. But that one I'm kind of kicking myself for because that was one play I was on was Wagner if he thought the game was going to blow out. And he absolutely smashed in the blowout. A little bit mad at myself for that one. But, yeah, guys, again, even without Kyrie Irving, it probably would have been at least 2-3x tonight if this game stays competitive. But no. Nope. It's a blowout. So, oh, man. It's just one position out of the cash, really. It just kind of just put the nail in me and twist it, right? It's just insult to injury with that. But all right, let's take a look at high stakes. This was the $3,000 Rainmaker entry. Kyrie Irving low owned, again, only 10% owned. I mean, he was a fine contrarian play, but this game really, 150 points by the Nets. Tyus Jones, 98%. Payne had a good game, 15% ownership. Brooks, again, 81%. Carter Jr. was massive chalk. I thought he was a little bit over-owned. We went over that. Steven Adams, 19% owned. Jackson was massive chalk. I did not understand why Jackson was so much more popular than Jalen Smith. I talked about that a lot on the Patreon live stream, how I thought they were basically identical plays, and if Jackson was going to be 5x the ownership of Smith, then I'm going to prefer straight up Smith every time. Now, I played them both because that's just how it fit for my lineup. But people ask me who I preferred. I was like, Jalen Smith all day long. Jackson should not be this more popular, 5-6x more popular than Jalen Smith. So that one made no sense at all for me. But that was the winning lineup again. And I'm tilted. But hey, we got 12 games to keep the tilt going for tomorrow. So let's start off with Atlanta and Charlotte. I mean, this guy, another guy who has cost me infinite money this year. If I play this guy, he can't hit a shot. It's happened 3 or 4 times this year. Every time I play Trae Young, 10% shooting. Faded him back-to-back slates, averaging 70 fancy points a game. Oh, okay. But no, seriously, this is a really good matchup. We have no John Collins. Gallinari is back, but not a big deal. So I do like Trae Young a good amount, assuming he can make his shots. Now, Clint Capella at 6.1K, I think it's a fair play the mid-range. I think he'll play around 30 minutes. Does get boosted out John Collins. So split the sentiments with Okongwu. I think the ceiling's a little bit higher on Capella, so I think he's a decent option. The mid-range guys are Bogdanovic, Herter, Hunter, Gallinari, all in play. I think Bogdanovic probably the riskiest, and I do think he has the most upside, but he's the riskiest because he's the price hit. He's the most expensive of that group. And this grouping of Herter, Hunter, Gallinari, I think are all pretty solid plays in the mid-range. I don't know if one stands out more than the other, but it's a good matchup, and I expect probably at least 25 plus minutes from all three of those guys, probably more closer to the 30-minute mark. Okongwu at 3.9 is a fair value play, right? If there's not a lot of value that opens up, then you can use him. He'll play, backup center minutes in around 20 in a good spot, so he's a fair play. We're moving on to Charlotte. So LaMelo Ball at 8.5K. I mean, I feel like the Hornets have been involved in just a ton of blowouts recently, but this is, like I said, a really, really good matchup. He hasn't been playing huge minutes. The minutes from LaMelo have been disappointing. Even in competitive games, Like, play him 38 minutes a game. Like, why are we playing the dust of Isaiah Thomas minutes? I don't understand what coaches are thinking sometimes. Like, how are you giving LaMelo only 30 minutes a game? Doesn't make sense. I think this game he could play more if it stays competitive. So, like LaMelo, obviously a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. Rozier has played extremely well. Now, I would say it's a little bit of a lower floor, but does have a ceiling. I mean, he's gone for basically 50 in 4 of the last 5 games. So, Terry Rozier is one of those players. He goes on stretches, right? You can just look in the game logs. Stretches where he's averaging about 50. Then he's, struggling to maybe even average 30 fantasy points a game. And, then he's averaging 60. And then, he's struggling. And then he's back to, smashing again. Like, he just goes on stretches where he's really hot or he's really struggling. So, right now he's on a stretch where he's playing extremely well, 8.2K. I have no issue getting to Rozier. Miles Bridges, has played pretty well of late, except for when I play him against the Spurs in a great matchup. 3 of 12 shooting, 26 fantasy points. Every other game, though, an absolute smash for him. Let's see, what else? I mean, the bigs, like Harrell, Plumlee, Washington, none of these guys really stand out. I mean, probably one of these guys will have a good game. Plumlee played 28 minutes last game against the Thunder, had a really good game. If you want to take a shot at him, I guess that's okay, or Harrell, but none of those guys really stand out. Philadelphia and Cleveland, tougher spot here. No Jared Allen, though, so Embiid, Harden, I think are both okay options. Embiid 11-1, Harden at 10-1. Harden has really struggled over the last couple of games, but the price has come down. So, if I was going to pick between the two Philadelphia stars, I would lean Harden. But there's really not much else I'm looking to on the Philadelphia side other than probably Harden. On the Cleveland side, so still no Jared Allen. I'm worried, though, Evan Mobley's going to start at the 5, but he's going to be defending Joel Embiid. So, right? I was priced up. I don't know if I can stomach that in a 12-gamer. Garland at 9K, there's less risk. He's just playing huge minutes. Maybe 46 minutes of 41 in regulation. He's probably going to get you double-digit assists. I think Garland looks pretty good. If you think that Mobley gets in some foul trouble, then maybe you can take a shot at Kevin Love at 6'2", who has also lost me a lot of money recently. I do think probably your safest bet in Cleveland is Lauri Markkanen, who played 41 minutes in regulation. Only 5.7K, does have small forward, power forward eligibility, which kind of makes him easy to get into your lineups. Denver and Washington, so Jokic, this is a great matchup against the Washington Wizards. In a competitive game, you should play mid-30s minutes, so obviously Jokic if you can afford them. The secondary options are kind of secondary plays for Barton, Gordon, and Morris. Not much else. I mean, I'm mentioning Boogie. If you think the game blows out, Boogie's a guy that could crush in a blowout. We know he's super productive, and he's at a sub 4K price point. On the Washington side, so Porzingis got his minutes bumped up a little bit, played 27 minutes last game. If he's going to start at the 5, obviously there is some foul trouble risk. But Porzingis, if he plays close to 30 minutes in this game, 7.2K does feel too cheap. So I'm intrigued by Porzingis for GPPs. A little bit harder to get to Kuzma. I'd rather get to Porzingis of the two. And then maybe they start Gafford at the 5 and move Porzingis to the 4 and start a bigger lineup. Because I don't really know if Porzingis can handle Jokic. We'll see. So maybe Gafford if he starts becomes a potential value, but not much else in Washington. Dallas and Brooklyn. So Luka Doncic 11-5 in a great matchup. I think it looks pretty good. He's going to play close to 40 minutes. Obviously he's going to do everything for the team. So yeah, Luka, I don't have to tell you that he's a good play. Dinwiddie, Brunson don't really stand out to me. The rest of the team kind of healthy besides Reggie Bullock, that is. Maybe a guy like Maxi Kleber at 4K becomes potential value. He was massive chalk against Houston and got 3 foul, barely played. But I think more often than not, he plays mid-20s minutes, which would make him an okay option. On the Brooklyn side, so Kyrie not going to be able to play in this game. So I do think keeping an eye on the news of Seth Curry and Cam Thomas. If they're both out, Brooklyn's going to be extremely shorthanded. They might run a 7 or 8-man rotation. So, obviously Kyrie's not going to play in this game. If those guys are out, KD is 1, Drummond's 2, Bruce Brown's 3, Dragic's 4, James Johnson's 5, Claxton is 6, Patty Mills is 7. I do think Kessler Edwards will probably be in the rotation. That's 8. That's 8 guys, right? And that's assuming those questionable guys or the guys that missed tonight are out again. So this could be a situation where Brooklyn is shorthanded. And without Kyrie Irving, I mean, Kevin Durant, I think he looks really good. He's had some big games without Kyrie. So, KD looks good. Drummond, if he can stay out of foul trouble, we know is a ceiling. Kind of a boomer bust play, though. But, these value options, Bruce Brown, Dragic, James Johnson, Patty Mills, these are all guys that are going to look really good if, those questionable players are out. So actually a good amount to like here for the Nets, but keep an eye on that news. Portland and New York, still missing a lot of players. Josh Hart at 8-6. I mean, if you think the Blazers can keep the game competitive, it's got to be because of Josh Hart. 72 and 47 over the last couple games. Watford's also played extremely well. He's playing huge minutes, 38 and 39 minutes. I think he's an okay option. Like, if we're going to get 40 minutes from Watford, then yeah, I think he's okay. Brandon Williams, of course, when he's massive chalk, goes for 50. Every other game, though, struggles, right? But no, I fade him at 80% ownership. 50 bomb. Every other game, massive bust. Like, you couldn't bust when I faded you at 80%. But yeah, Brandon Williams is okay at 6'5". He'll probably play over 30 minutes in a competitive game. I will mention Chris Dunn, former Chicago Bulls legend. Played 20 minutes off the bench. Is actually a pretty good point per minute guy. He fouled out in 20 minutes too. So, like, I think Chris Dunn's kind of a sneaky value play at the flat min role. Like, and who knows, but like, I would think he probably plays at least 15, 20 minutes. And he fouled out in 20 minutes last game. So kind of intrigued there by Chris Dunn at the flat min price. But that is it for Portland. On the Knicks side, I mean, Julius Randle at 9.5, kind of just okay with it. He'll play big minutes. You know the drill by now. RJ Barrett at 7.7. Has played pretty well for his team, also playing huge minutes. So you know you're going to get big minutes for the two Knicks studs. Alec Burks at 6K, another guy that should play mid-30s minutes. Kind of just a neutral play for me. Mitchell Robinson, I mean, if this guy can stay out of foul trouble, the ceiling is this. But, like, he's just always in foul trouble, like Jaren Jackson Jr., right? Just always in foul trouble. But I obviously like the ceiling on Robinson. I think quickly off the bench makes for a decent option. I mean, he's been consistently playing like mid to high 20s minutes. So at 5'1", he does have point guard, shooting guard eligibility, which is nice. Fournier, absolutely hate playing this guy, but probably plays around 30 minutes, is score independent, but does have a ceiling if he knock down his shots. Phoenix and Houston. So, I mean, if this game can stay competitive, these Suns guys look pretty good. The question is, can it, right? So Devin Booker 9.5, it's a great matchup, but like there's blowout risk. Payne, same thing. Right, he was on pace for 50+ tonight. Just barely plays the second half. DeAndre Ayton, again, great spot, but potential blowout risk. So, like, the main guys look good if you think the game can stay competitive. I mentioned JaVale McGee, who I played at extremely low ownership tonight. Absolutely smashed. Again, he's going to be a very productive player when he's on the court. So, like, I'm always intrigued by him if not a lot of value opens up. But, yeah, you got to factor in that there's a good chance these guys only play 3 quarters. On the Houston side, just an awful, awful team. I mean, my God, is this team just gross. Christian Wood, 7.9. Him and Kevin Porter Jr., if they want to keep the game competitive, it's got to be because of these two. So they're okay contrarian plays, but neither are cheap. Draymond Green has actually played okay of late. Again, 6K, though, is like, There's just not a lot that stands out. Like, even some of the backups are a little bit pricey. So if the game blows out, you can't even go there. So there's just not a lot of like in the Houston side. Lakers and Timberwolves. I mean, talk about awful teams. I mean, this LA Lakers team, I would be embarrassed if I was a Lakers fan right now. LeBron James, 11-2. Should play about 40 minutes in a competitive game. If they want any chance to keep this game close, it's got to be LeBron James. So, obviously playable. And just not playing Westbrook. Just not doing it. The mid-range guys like Monk, Melo, THT. THT probably the easiest guy to get to since he's the cheapest. Should play mid to high 20s minutes on the bench. Had a good game last game. I do want to mention, though, that this is a big team against Minnesota. So, like, I'm not sure if the Lakers start LeBron at the 5. They might start Dwight or even Wenyen Gabriel at the 5. So, like, keep an eye on that starting lineup. But, like, Wenyen Gabriel is actually a pretty good point per minute guy. If he starts the 5, would think he's probably playing at least, like, 15 to 20 minutes. So, like, he could be a potential value if they do start him at the 5 or Dwight. So keep an eye on the news. I'm not sure if the Lakers try to go small against Karl-Anthony Towns. And Cat, again, how about that game last game? 60 real back-to-back nights where we had someone go for 60 points. That is crazy. Kyrie tonight, Karl-Anthony Towns last night. Towns, this is a great matchup. So I think he's in play. Now, obviously, last game was an outlier, but I think he's definitely viable. D'Lo and Ant-Man viable as well. We know, though, like, these guys are not really cash game plays, more tournament plays when all 3 are healthy. Now, just like, can Minnesota stop listing everyone as questionable? Like, they just have like 5 guys listed as questionable every single slate. So, like, it's hard to break this down. Like, Patrick Beverley, if he plays, I think he's a pretty good value play. Should play 25 to 30 minutes. Obviously, a guy that can kind of do it all. McDaniel's out. Vanderbilt's questionable. If Vanderbilt can't go, then, like, maybe we can look to, like, the dust of, like, Taurean Prince, who might pick up a start if he's out, too. So, yeah, just keep an eye on the Minnesota news. But it's hard to break down because they have 70 players questionable. Thunder and the Spurs. I mean, talk about another mess of a team. Now we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander questionable. So, like, if SGA misses this game, I mean, I don't know if the Thunder score 70 points in this game, but, like, there is just a ton of usage to go around if SGA's out. So, like, Maladon will look amazing, assuming he starts at the point. And then grouping like Wiggins, Man, Pokusevski, Roby, Bazley would all look good. Bazley would probably be the go-to guy in offense at 5'6". Would be way too cheap. Can we talk about the Thunder, too? I talk about this a lot, but, like, every game, it's just picking names out of a hat for the starting lineup, right? You know, SGA and Bazley are going to start most nights, but everyone else, this night, oh, it's Olivier Sarr. We're going to start him. This night, oh, it's Theo Maledon. How about whatever Lindy Waters is? Let's throw him in the starting lineup. But there's just no rhyme or reason. Every game is just a different starting lineup for the Thunder. But yeah, so like these secondary players are going to look amazing if Shai is out. Olivier Sarr again started last game, played 32 minutes, was solid. Lindy Waters, I still don't believe that's a real person, but he's going to be like they're going to be really thin. So yeah, if Shai is out, there's a lot to like here on the Thunder side. On the Spurs side, so if this game can stay competitive, I think DeJounte Murray obviously has a ceiling. He's averaging like mid-50s fantasy points every single game, so no issue going there. The rest of the Spurs, a little bit hard to prioritize anyone. Jakob Poeltl's price has come down a bit to 7-1, but still feels a little bit pricey. Keldon Johnson's had a couple big games, but we know he has a floor as well. He's fine for tournaments. Not a lot else that's standing out for me on the Spurs side. Chicago and Utah, nothing really stands out for me on the Chicago side. Levine's probable. There's just nothing really here. Value-wise, Cruz are priced up a bit. I mean, Io's 4.8. Guess he's okay. But yeah, nothing that I really like on the Chicago side. On the Utah side, so I think the main guys look pretty good here. No Bogdanovich, no House. We'll get to that. But Rudy Gobert, great matchup. Should play low 30s minutes. I think he makes for a pretty safe play at 7-5. Donovan Mitchell, this game can stay competitive. He's going to play big minutes. Played 40 minutes last game. Shot 10 of 32. Whew. And Mike Conley, they did say he's going to play a little bit more down the stretch. So he's been averaging about low 30s minutes a game as opposed to like mid-20s minutes. So like if we're going to get low 30s minutes from Mike Conley at 5'5", I do think he's a decent play in the mid-range. Now, obviously, last game was an outlier. We're not going to get 50 again from Conley. But I also think he's another pretty safe play. With Bogdanovich and Danuel House out, that's a lot of minutes to go around. So like Rudy Gay might pick up a start here. He's only 3.1K if he does. I think he's a pretty good value. You also should see more minutes for Clarkson. So they kind of closed with a 3-guard lineup of Conley, Clarkson, and Mitchell last game, along with Royce O'Neal and Gobert. So like there's going to be more minutes to go around. So I think Clarkson's fine as well. Royce O'Neal 4.2. I mean, he's a fair value play. He's going to play huge minutes. I don't hate him. But I think Rudy Gay probably the cheap option I would look to, assuming that he picks up the start. Boston and Golden State. So this game should be a great game to watch. Don't necessarily know if it's going to be a great game for DFS purposes. I mean, basically a fully healthy Boston team against a tough matchup like Golden State. So, like, if you want to take a shot in like a low on Tatum or low on Brown, okay. Rob Williams is 7K. There's just nothing here that stands out to me. On the Golden State side, another team that I can't stand. I hate Steve Kerr so much. I hate him so much. Andrew Wiggins is questionable, another player that I absolutely hate. If he misses, though, keep an eye on the starting lineup. Last game, Kuminga started, and he played 28 minutes. Kuminga's a pretty solid point per guy, so he could be a potential value play. Draymond Green, they took it easy on his minutes. They said they're going to take it easy in this first week or so can't go to Draymond yet. Klay Thompson's too pricey. Steph Curry at a sub-10K price point, I do think he's in play. Again, ceiling is there. Floor is low, though. So, like, Steph Curry, fine tournament play, but does have a low floor. As far as the rest of the Warriors go, I mean, Kevon Looney is like a fair play at 4-1. Otto Porter Jr. 4K, probably plays around 20 minutes. I guess that's fine. Not a lot else that stands on the Golden State side. Milwaukee and Sacramento. So if you think this game stay competitive, I mean, I think the main guys for the Bucks look pretty good, especially Giannis. I mean, Sacramento's been awful defensively, so Giannis should be able to feast against this Kings defense. I mean, who's going to defend him? Like Harrison Barnes, I guess? So, yeah, Giannis should be able to smash. The mid-range guys like Milton, Drew, and Portis all in play. We do have, where is he? Where's Brook Lopez? Am I going crazy? Oh, I just missed it. But we do have Brook Lopez back, so, Bobby Portis, minutes, might lose a couple minutes, but I think the main interest there is Giannis. Grayson Allen is 3.9K. He probably sees mid-20s minutes. He's fair value. But, yeah, I think that's it for Milwaukee. And moving on to Sacramento. So how about De'Aaron Fox? He's been playing extremely well. He's also playing like 40 minutes a game. So I don't hate Fox as a contrarian play. I don't think a lot of people play him, but 58, 57, 70, and 52 fantasy points over the last 4 games. So, like, obviously the ceiling is there. Sabonis, he caused me immense pain last night. Immense pain. I was so happy about Sabonis' low ownership. I was like, yes. He had like 26, 27 and a half. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good night. Cardio second half. Just nothing. It's all the De'Aaron Fox show. And the reason I was so on Sabonis was because, people, were projecting for like low 30s minutes. And I was like, hey, all those games were massive foul trouble. He's not getting foul trouble every single game. Played 38 minutes. Like, he's going to play close to 40 minutes if he hits out of foul trouble. So once again, I don't mind Sabonis for tournaments. He caused me a lot of pain last game. Barnes is just there. We do have a Justin Holiday back, so kind of hurts the likes of DiVincenzo and Davion Mitchell. Both had good games last game, and DiVincenzo started, but Justin Holiday is back, so those guys should lose some minutes. But keep Brian in the starting lineup. Like, DiVincenzo played well in that starting lineup, so maybe there's a chance he stays in the starting lineup. So, like, if he does, he could be a potential value play in a revenge game narrative against his former team. Metu at 3-6, probably plays around 20 minutes. That's fine. Might get extended if the game blows out, but final game here, Toronto and the Clippers. Another, talk about pain. How about the Toronto Raptors? I mean, another team over the last 3 weeks. I've just lost infinite money with this team. Van Fleet questionable. I expect him to play. He's questionable last game he played. So, like, if Van Fleet plays, there's nothing that really stands out here. If Van Fleet misses, obviously, like, Siakam, Barnes, Gear trying to look better. Boucher probably plays more minutes. I do want to mention Precious Achiuwa. So, he's been starting the last couple games. Ken Birch has kind of been phased out of the rotation. We saw 33 minutes from Achiuwa last game. Now, I'm not convinced we get 33 minutes again, but if we get, mid-20s minutes from a 3.9K Achiuwa, I actually think he's a pretty good value play. So, I actually don't mind Achiuwa. Thad Young is really, really cheap. Probably plays 15 to 20 minutes. That's fine for a guy that can kind of stuff the stat sheet. But, like I said, Ken Birch kind of been phased out of the rotation. So, that's good for the likes of Precious Achiuwa. I don't think he plays 30-plus minutes again, but we don't need him to. If he plays like mid-20s minutes, I think he's going to be a pretty solid value. And finally, the Clippers. So basically fully healthy team now outside of the main guys, obviously. So, like, there's nothing that really stands out. You can look to Zubac in a GPP. Had a big game last game with both Reggie and Morris out. But, like, some of these guys were priced up from when Reggie and Morris were out. Now Reggie and Morris are in. Hardenstein a 4-5. I mean, he'll back up Zubac if the game blows out. He does have a ceiling. But there's really nothing that stands out for me on the Clippers side. So that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. If you haven't enjoyed the content, just make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And really appreciate you guys coming to check out the live stream today. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. We'll try to do more in the future. Obviously not every day, but we'll try to do Q&A live streams more down the line. So thanks then, guys. Have a great night, and I will see you everyone in the next video.